Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. I pray everyone is doing well despite the circumstance that we're in. They're making the best of it. And I hope you are benefiting from the blessings that come along with the test and with the opportunities, the unique opportunities that you are given. And I hope Allah makes it easy for all of us to do that. I mean, when it comes to time and the way we perceive time, there's actually a sense of relativity in the sense that we will reflect upon something may take a very long time, but it feels fast. And something will take a very short amount of time, but it feels really long. And that's the way human beings are. And a lot of it has to do with how much importance we give to that event. So people will plan for things which are very important to them. So for example, when people are getting married, when it comes to having a wedding, people will plan for months in advance. In fact, I know some couples, they tell me, they say they want to get married, but their family, they said, no, you're going to have to wait at least a year, maybe 16 months, because that's how long it's going to take for us to plan the wedding, because the wedding is so important. We cannot even get you married. We have to spend at least a year to, or more just to plan the wedding. Why? Because the event is important to them. When it comes to saving for retirement, companies hire financial planners and they come in and they tell them, you need to start planning for retirement now. Even if you're a 20-year-old, you just got a job for the first time in your life, you better start saving up for retirement, otherwise you won't make it. And they say that a lot of people plan, which is a good thing. 75% of non-retirees who are under the age of 60, they have a 401k plan, or they have an IRA plan, or they have some type of retirement fund that they're saving up because they understand the importance of planning for that and getting ready for that. When it comes to a funeral, many people are planning in advance. They buy their burial plot because they know the plots may be going up. They don't want, money to be, unnecessarily spent on that later on. So they buy their funeral plot in advance because they're planning even for what's going to happen after their death. Even though their deeds are going to be done, they're planning. But when it comes to other things in life that are also important, oftentimes we're all a little bit guilty of not planning properly. And Ramadan is one of those things. We all know Ramadan is coming. Ramadan is coming in 2 weeks. And we've had a lot of time to plan for it, to prepare for it, despite the crisis, situation that we're in. But oftentimes we don't really plan enough. And when the month comes, what ends up happening is we start thinking, man, I should have really freed my schedule a little bit more. I really should have done this. I should have done that. I should have bought more groceries so I don't have to spend so much time cooking. I should have done so many other things. And Ramadan is something that we really need to plan for if we have not started planning for it properly. So the first way to plan for Ramadan is to really reflect upon what Ramadan is supposed to signify. Right? There was a 2017 Pew Research Center study that said 80% of American Muslims observe Ramadan in some way, meaning they're either going to be fasting or they, fasting the entire month, or at least fasting part of the month. Ramadan is something very important for them. And if you look at the same study, they say about 40% of people pray 5 times a day, American Muslims. So we're talking about double the amount of people who are praying regularly. They will look at Ramadan as something, very important in their lives. And that's beautiful. And that's a great thing, right? And we have to understand that people look at Ramadan in many ways. Not only are we trying to get closer to Allah, not only are we fasting, not only are we, trying to meet with family and friends and all of those things, but many people, they're deriving different benefits from the month of Ramadan. So in 2018, Cigna Healthcare, they did a study which basically looked at Americans, and they said over 50% of Americans, they actually feel lonely. That's half the population feels lonely. And that's before this novel coronavirus crisis that we're going in right now. Imagine the number of people who cannot socialize at all and feel even more lonely. That's 50% before any type of quarantine or shelter in place orders, right? But Ramadan actually was something that helps people. They go for prayer, they're going to be eating food with others, they're going to be socializing. It's this great opportunity. Now, of course, Ramadan is going to be very different this year because of the shelter-in-place rules. And I'm going to address that a little bit today and tonight as well in my lecture tonight. But before all of that, we have to understand something. We have to keep things in perspective. And that is, what is the original purpose behind why Ramadan is special? It's a great time to socialize. It's a great time to cook some of the best foods that you've ever seen in your life. But that's not the ultimate purpose. So what is the purpose? It's not socializing. It's not just empathizing with the poor because you're fasting and you know what they're feeling like, because the poor are fasting as well. So who are they empathizing with? Themselves, right? So there's something deeper. So we got to go back and reflect upon what the original intent of Ramadan and fasting was. And Allah tells us that in the Quran. He says, شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنُ هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ. He says that the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was revealed is a guide for people, right? So what is it saying? It's saying that the month of Ramadan is special because the Quran was revealed. And what is special about the Quran? It's a guide for people. هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. And it is a clear distinguishing signs of guidance. And it's a furqan. It is something which helps people differentiate between what is good and bad, what is harmful and what is beneficial. Today, people are lost in society, right? They really and this is part of potentially the wisdom of why Allah is testing us with an outbreak or a pandemic like this. If we think about it, as a society, we're being tested maybe because, or probably because, of all the things that's happening. Look at the way people are behaving. Look at their morals. Look at the way that they live their lives. Allah is not content with that, and He's sending us wake-up calls. And He's telling us here that your Quran, this Quran which was sent to you, is special. And Ramadan is special because of the Quran. One of the things it does, it's a furqan. It helps you differentiate between what is right and what is wrong. When you get lost, you don't know what is good and bad anymore. When society starts to become confused, this is the opportunity that you go back and you read it, you reflect upon it, you think about it. And then Allah says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. So whoever witnesses that month of Ramadan in which the Quran was revealed, you should fast. You gotta fast. So it's very important, this moral relativism of a society that we live in today. People are so confused about what is evil and what is good, what is just and what is injustice. Confused about gender. People are confused about mind-altering drugs and whether they're good for you or whether they are bad for you or whether they're going to help you in life or whether it's not a big deal. They're confused about many things. So we need the Quran in our lives. And the second thing is when we come to the purpose of fasting, we've understood the purpose of Ramadan. When it comes to the purpose of fasting, we need to understand as well that there is a very clear-cut purpose mentioned to us in the Quran. Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, listen up and try to understand why you're fasting. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, kutiba alaykumus siyam. Fasting has been prescribed for you, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, the way it was prescribed for people in the past, meaning you're not the first people who've ever fasted. The Muslim community of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you're not the first people in history to have ever fasted. But why? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So that you can become conscious of God. You can become conscious of Allah. Or another way to phrase that, you can become mindful of Allah. And mindfulness is kind of a new trend in kind of self-help and meditation and just getting people reducing their stress and anxiety and all of those things. This idea of mindfulness basically means is that it's this state of active attention on the present moment, right? Instead of letting life just pass by how it is, you're mindful in the state that you're actively attentive to what is taking place and what is happening around you. Now, if you apply that to God and you apply that to Allah, it means that you're actively aware and attentive that Allah is watching you, that Allah knows what you're doing, that Allah every part of your life, that Allah is there to answer your du'as. And you're actively aware of that, and you're not heedless of that. That is the purpose of fasting, is for you to get into that state. Now, how do you get into that state? Two ways. Number one, when you're fasting, you're exhibiting a level of self-control where food, drink, and intimacy is not allowed for you during the daytime. And you start to become accustomed to the discomfort that you have. There's this natural discomfort, and people don't like discomfort. But when you become accustomed to that discomfort and you accept it and you say, I'm doing this because Allah wants me to, I'm doing this because it is good for me, it actually ends up leading to taqwa. It ends up leading for you that you become more mindful and more conscious of God. And we need to really understand this idea, because this idea of becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? I mean, when you go to work, can you expect maximum comfort and then maximum pay in your job? You know, I mean, people are even fortunate to have a job nowadays, right? And if you can do that paycheck protection program filing thing, I highly recommend that, you know. But you go into a job, you can't just sit back, relax, and then say, and I'm going to be the best employee and I'm going to get maximum pay, maximum relaxation, maximum pay. You don't ever expect that. You expect some level of discomfort. You're going to have to do something to get something, right? Same thing when it comes to a marriage. You can't just go into a marriage and expect that you're just going to get a bunch of benefits. All benefits, no challenges at all. Everything's just going to be 100% smooth sailing. Or you come in with the attitude of, you know, rights and responsibilities, and you expect, you know, these are my rights. I have a right to this, and I have a right to that, and I have a right that you do this for me. But then there's no responsibilities. Yeah, I have no responsibility to do anything for you. It's not going to work. The marriage is not going to work. So we have to be mature about life, the same way we have to be mature about things, the same way we have to be mature about acquiring taqwa, acquiring God consciousness through the month of Ramadan, by understanding that we have to feel some discomfort to get closer to Allah, and that's the way it works, and that is good for us. There's this concept known today as entitlement, and they usually describe for younger people. And entitlement basically means that you believe that you are inherently deserving of some special privileges and some special treatment because you're you. And what ends up happening is that people become very ungrateful when they feel entitled to something. So people feel entitled for food. So I'm entitled for food. Everyone has a right to food. I have a right to food as well. And from a human rights perspective, yeah, you can make that argument. We should be supporting other people who don't have food. But from who? I mean, from where? Where do you have this entitlement that you're entitled to food? Allah didn't have to provide food for you. So Ramadan, when we give up food, when we give up water, it's a reminder that we're not entitled. This is a blessing, actually, that Allah has given us. And when we purposely deprive ourselves of that blessing, we realize what a blessing it truly is. Today, many people are stuck in their homes. They can't go out. The grocery stores, you know, long lines, restaurants are closed. Everything else is closed. Many, you know, services are closed, and they realize what a blessing all those things are. But they took all of those things for granted until they were gone. And when they're gone, you realize what a blessing each and every single thing that you've lost really is. Even your digestion, the fact that you can digest your food, it's a blessing. When that's gone, imagine what happens. You have pain. It hurts. So we realize the blessings when they're gone. And when we realize those blessings by depriving ourselves in the daytime, it's just the daytime. It's not even that long, 16, 17 hours, maybe 20 hours, maybe 12 hours in some parts of the world. You realize those blessings and you become thankful. You realize those blessings and you start to get closer to Allah in all different ways. And you start to realize that you have the self-control to resist things which normally you would be able to do. So now it's an opportunity for you to learn self-control, learn self-discipline that will actually carry on after Ramadan. So it's also time in Ramadan to start quitting some of the bad habits that you have. If you have a bad habit, you never make your bed, your house is a mess or something, it's time to if you can give up food, you can give up drink, you can give up water, and it's in the summer, you know, you can give up all that. You can, if that's a bad habit and you want to fix it, you can fix that. If you're smoking and it's harming you, which probably it is, right? Whether it's shisha or whether it's, marijuana, or whether it's tobacco or it's vaping or whatever it is, you're juuling or something, whatever that is, it's an opportunity to quit those bad habits. One, in Ramadan, because it may be breaking your fast. And two, you're building up the willpower. You're building up the discipline to do these things. It's also an opportunity that you should be quitting backbiting, gossiping. People talk about people all the time. Did you hear he lost his job? He's probably was just being lazy on the job. How do you know that? You don't know anything about that person. You don't know anything about their lives. People talk about people's personal family relationships. I can't believe she married him. She must have married him for money. And, he must have done this to her. People speculate all the time, and it's just gossip. And we need to be careful in Ramadan. If you're going to be fasting, you're going to be giving up food, you're going to be giving up drink, and giving up intimacy during the day. You're going to negate all of that benefit all of that effort you put in. If you're going to sit there gossiping, slandering, backbiting other people, it's going to be a problem. And the same thing applies with foul language. If you're using bad words, now is the time. Ramadan, get ready, get prepared. Now is the time to quit. Start cutting down from now and be ready to go cold turkey when Ramadan starts, because this is a huge problem in our society. And it's not only using it, it's listening to it. Because if you listen to it, you will use it. Now, very few people can listen to foul language, listen to music songs, listen to movies that have a bunch of foul language, and it doesn't start to come out on their tongue. And if it doesn't come out on their tongue, it's sitting there in their mind, going and cussing people out, because that's what they heard and that's what they listen to constantly. So this is a time, this is an opportunity. Ramadan is here to change your life. Ramadan is here to get you closer to Allah and become a much better and a different person, a better human being, a better servant of Allah in this month. So this is your 1 month opportunity. It's like a 1 month boot camp. You see those exercise, advertisements. Come into this boot camp and we're gonna get you in shape and everything. That's what Allah is saying. Allah is saying, come in Ramadan, it's coming. We're gonna get you in shape. If you follow the instructions, it's gonna get you in shape. It's gonna get you back to where you're supposed to be, or get you beyond where you originally were. So make the intention, number one, to change yourself, to become a better person. Try to read Quran every single day. Make the intention. I'm going to read one verse a day. If you've never read any Quran, I'm going to read half a page. I'm going to read 1 page. I'm going to read 1 juz every single day, right? It's not going to be permanent. Remember, what you do in Ramadan is not permanent for the rest of the year. You're going to cut down after Ramadan, but you want to try to keep up at least part of that habit, maybe 25%. So you're reading 10 pages of Quran every day in Ramadan. Maybe you're going to read 2 pages for the rest of the year. That's fine. Do extra in Ramadan. And there are people, we need to read the translation of the Quran. We need to reflect upon the Quran. There are non-Muslims who've read the entire Quran, and Muslims who've been Muslim for 50 years, and they've never even read 2 pages of the meaning of the Quran. That is sad, and that should not be happening. So while you're reading, read with Arabic if you can, and read with the translation that you understand, or a tafsir or explanation, so you can understand it. Number 2, clear your work schedule. So whatever you need to get done, even if you're working from home or whatever, get some of the big projects out of the way now. Get loaded up on groceries now. Get your recipes ready now. Get your oil change done now. Get all the stuff that you need to do. Get it done right now. Get everything, your haircut, whatever is needed now, so you don't have to sit there and do it in Ramadan. It's going to waste your time that you could have been racking up a ton of good deeds, but then you got busy doing all these other things, right? And when I say buy groceries, that doesn't mean stock up on toilet paper like many people are doing, okay? Just normal groceries that you're really going to need in Ramadan. Number 3, TV. Limit your TV or cut it off. Social media. Delete some apps on your phone. Anything that's a time thief that you see taking up a lot of your time, try and cut it out as much as you possibly can. Number 4, try to change your friends for a month. Right? Try to hang out with people who are a good influence on you. If you're not already doing that. If you're doing that, great, keep it up. Stay in contact with them despite this shelter-in-place order that many people are going through. But if you're hanging out with bad friends, which you may be virtually doing now somehow, I don't know, on Zoom, there might be like some kind of a bar or online shisha cafe or something like that. Try and change your friends for a month and see the effect it has on you. And number 5, and lastly, make a program, write it down, and try and tell someone your goals. So that'll help motivate you. If you need a detailed calendar of what to do it. If you need to-do lists, do it. Whatever works for you, try to do that so you actually have some clear-cut goals, whether they're in your mind or they're on paper, and try to accomplish those things so that you become a better person, you get closer to Allah, you become a better human being. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to reach the month of Ramadan, help us to benefit from that month. Ameen. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, nastaghfiruka Allah wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.